Hey YouTube, Ray here. Yeah, so for some reason my last two videos wouldn't upload. I tried multiple times and I don't know what's going on with it. Hopefully this one makes it through. But, so they ended up costing you two video game videos. So, uh, go ahead and bitch at YouTube. I have no idea what's going on with it. It wasn't a different format or anything like that, but for some odd reason, it just sat there and hung at 1 hour for upload speed. My internet's fine. I don't know what's going on. But I'll probably end up going through and remaking the videos at some point. Or at least trying to re-upload them, maybe make a few changes. But now, one major issue that I have going on right now was one of my buddies just recently brought up a bunch of different articles to me, and I know he's egging me on, and I know I'm taking the bait, but the thing is, you know, he knows that I'm one of those people that doesn't do the whole hypocrisy thing, and he ended up bringing up a bunch of articles about women in recent history, and by in recent history I mean in less than 2 years, who have basically gotten away with molesting underage individuals. And when I say underage individuals, the reason why I say that is because we have an arbitrary and I'm not saying arbitrary lightly. I'll go into that in a little bit. But we have a arbitrary age of consent. Now, this varies slightly from place to place here in the US, but generally it's about the age of 18. You know, that's when you know you're safe. There's no hoops to jump through. There's no loopholes that you gotta go ahead and make your way through and a minefield to navigate. Well, if you're a woman. But the thing is I mean, there were some of them where it's all like, in what way was there even a question of this being wrongdoing? Now, I've heard people argue that, oh, a grown person, you know, having sex with a teenager is a worthless pile of shit and blah blah blah, you know. But usually the people that I hear saying this, are not exactly on the highest rankings in attractiveness, and then also at the same time, they tend to be older. Now, I think that's very telling. It's kind of like, you know, if you know, you've got a bunch of guys that are hanging out and they see a guy that's, you know, really muscular, has women hanging all over him, younger women, you know, very attractive, that sort of thing, you know, hanging all over him and, you know, basically fighting to see who gets to ride his cock. You know, the guys sit there and bitch and complain and, you know, make assumptions about the person. They go ahead and talk a whole bunch of smack. But that comes from a place of jealousy. I've been guilty of this before. Not saying that I haven't done it before. It's just now when I catch myself doing it, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? This guy isn't affecting me unless I'm dating a woman and he comes in and starts fucking her, which at that point it's not only on him, but it's also on her, because she made that choice. I'm one of the rare guys that will sit there and go, no, both of y'all are equally to blame. And guess what? The blame doesn't get divvied up. You get the full brunt of it. Both of you are 100% in the wrong. But, anywho, you've got that sort of thing. So that's its own discussion. But the thing is you also end up having a situation where, you know, perfect example in colleges. Let's, in college, everyone's of legal consenting age, right? But if a faculty member ends up having sex with a student, any sort of sexual contact or sexual interaction whatsoever, the faculty member can be fired. And what's the reason? Oh, because they could be pressuring the person. They could be using their position of authority to go ahead and, kind of urge the person a little more than what would normally be in their power to do. Then how in the hell is it that a teacher at a high school can go ahead and get away with having sex with multiple students and get no jail time? How in the hell is that even a fucking thing? Because everyone keeps saying, oh, well, pedophilia is an epidemic that's going on. It's a big problem, blah, blah, blah. All right, fine. Then how about we start holding everyone to account for it? And I know that having sex with a teenager is not pedophilia. It's something different. The term escapes me. I know that pedophilia is having sexual relations with prepubescent individuals. So, honestly, the term's been widely misused. In fact, it's been absolutely abused. But because most pedophiles actually aren't pedophiles. They're something else. But the thing is the reason why we have those differing terms is because, no, it's not natural to want to go after a prepubescent individual. I mean, that's just straight up predatory. However, once someone goes through puberty, at that point, that's their body saying and announcing, hey, we're ready to go. Now, the person may not be mentally up to that standard of challenge, but the thing is you have their body saying one thing, society saying another thing, and their brain not really giving a fuck, not really even considering it. It's preoccupied with other things. However, now we have a big problem, because go ahead and look at fashion trends for young teens. Just go ahead and, pause the video, go ahead and take a look, come back. All right, so if you went ahead and you looked, you'll probably notice something. With teenage boys, the style doesn't really vary too much. Boy style pretty much stays the same as we age. However, with girls, you notice that at a younger age, there's typically more modesty, although that is kind of falling by the wayside. I mean, But once they hit those teen years, all of a sudden, extremely sexualized, so showing off a whole lot of skin, showing off every conceivable curve that can be shown off. Things printed on there that are sexual in nature. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Well, then we have people sitting there and saying, well, it's wrong to go ahead and sleep with teenagers. Then why are we sexualizing them through fashion? Why are we sexualizing them through media representation? Why are we sitting there and, saying, oh, well, we need to fight for abortion rights for these young girls because it shouldn't be up to their parents. Well, the thing is their parents are the ones who have to bear the brunt. So yes, it should be up to the parents. And you can disagree with me if you want. You can go ahead, downvote the video. I don't give a fuck. But the fact is the parents are the ones that are ultimately responsible for for their child's child until their child comes of age. Comes of societal age. But here's the thing. Where does the buck stop? A lot of people blame teenage boys saying, oh, well, all they want to do is get their dick wet. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. It's called hormones. I think it's absolutely amazing that we have to be completely understanding with women when they go through their hormonal imbalances, when they go through their hormonal cycle, and, you know, they're sitting there being an absolute cunt to everyone involved in their life. We have to accept that, but we vilify young men for reacting to their hormones. Kind of makes you question who we think's stronger, right? And now I'm not talking about physically, because that's a cut and dry thing. But when we talk about our expectations of mental and emotional strength, again, we still expect men and boys now, to be stronger at all times, flawlessly. Because if they screw up, the consequences are dire. So, let's go ahead and, like I've said before, let's cut the crap. If we're going to go ahead and allow these teenage girls to dress like a streetwalker, and I'm not saying that lightly, if we're going to allow them to do that, how about stop vilifying the boys for reacting to it? Especially when the girls are admitting that they're doing this to attract the boys' attention in a sexual manner. How about that? Because the thing is a lot of people are all like, well, it's her body, it's her choice. Yeah, and if she chooses to go ahead and exploit her sexuality, and a boy obliges, all of a sudden the blame lies on the boy. I mean, hell, there have been plenty of times where boys who were younger than the girl ended up getting charged with sexual offenses, and the girl was the one who instigated it. And they say that girls mentally mature faster than boys, alright? So at that point, that makes the girl much worse in that situation. But we don't see that bared out. Not in the legal system. So, how about this? How about we go ahead and actually start pushing for equality when it comes to consideration of who's at fault? And the thing is I'm going to let you in on a secret. It's not exactly the kids. They're doing what's coming biologically, naturally to them. The fault lies with the older generation. The generation that came before. The generation that gave birth to these kids and failed to raise them with any sort of moral values. If you want to go ahead and function in a moral society, then guess what? You need to go ahead and instill those morals into your kids. You actually have to do some, God forbid, parenting. And this is coming from a parent. So how about this? Stop trying to blame other people's kids for your kids' fuck-ups that are a result of you being a fuck-up as a parent. Let's start there.